For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. 30 minutes of time-wasting fun coming your way. Are you sick of hearing about Pride already? Now, before you call me a homophobe and a bigot and whatever, I just had sex with my husband this morning, so don't give me this bullshit about being a big ol' phobe, okay? What a great way to open the show! We're not even a minute in. Look at that. It's just great. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This is my fourth show that I'm taping today. So at this point, it's more exhaustion than anything else, and I just don't care. See, after the May holiday weekend, we're kind of in summer mode where we still have new programming, there's new stuff coming out, but it's not on a regular schedule as it would normally be taped. So this is the end of my recording for a while. So it's like the last day of school. Maybe that's the better way to put it. It's the last day of school. You don't know why you've come in because you don't care. You don't really... So naturally, it makes you want to tune in for the next, right? Because what am I going to say? How unhinged? How am I, just going to... But I mentioned at the top. So this Pride thing, I've got some thoughts about it. Let's just put it like that. And I'll get into it on the Scribble right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here, back on the Scribble. So it's Pride month. And it's coming because at the end of May is when all of the rainbow flags come up at the different stores and all the corporate logos turn into rainbows. And I don't know that we've seen that very much this year, have we? I don't know. Maybe it's the companies that are afraid of Trump are probably not doing it, right? Those are the ones that are going to get the scrutiny from the administration. But it's interesting because it happens, a couple days before Pride month starts. I don't know why it's a month. I just don't get it. But and then come July 1st, it's like it's like a desert. There's what do you call them? Tumbleweeds. Like it's just there's no sign of Pride. There's just dust now at this point. It's just Pride is done. All right, we celebrated the gays for a month, and it's not even gays anymore. This is the thing, right? It used to be called Gay Pride, and now it's everything not straight Pride. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, and if you've listened to this show for many years, I've been married to a man. I've been gay my, entire life. When my brothers played hockey, I'm the youngest of three, but, I was, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years old. I remember saying that there was a kid on my brother's hockey team named Gary, and I remember saying that Gary was my boyfriend. So don't give me this shit that I'm a homophobe and that I've got to, wave the flag. And so we don't have any rainbow flags in our house. We don't have torso sculptures. My husband is a Again, this is where I get in trouble with the gays. He's a straight act. He's a masculine, muscular, tattooed Brazilian bodybuilder fitness model. I am the guy next door. I don't, girlfriend, you look fabulous. Girl, look at that. No. We're just guys that are into guys, and that's that. As it's not that somebody saying Happy Pride offends me, because whatever. It's just like when people wish me Happy Hanukkah. I'm not Jewish, but thank you. It's a nice greeting. I'll take it, right? So saying Happy Pride to me, fine. It does make me cringe a little bit because I'm just kind of like, ugh. And the reason why I've never liked Pride, so let me get into this, was that when you are a closeted teenager and you're living at home with your parents, now you have to remember that I came out when did I come out? Not quite. Was I 20 or 21? Oh, shit. Anyway, but more than 20 years ago. That's my point. So when I came out more than 20 years ago, we didn't have this whole he, she, they, them, and, it gets better and all these things. No, you were kind of on your own. There was no social media. There was none of this bullshit. There was support. So you had to kind of tough it out. So I remember being upstairs. My bedroom was downstairs. I remember being upstairs with my parents. They're watching the news, and all of a sudden, the coverage of the Pride Parade. And I couldn't see my parents, so I was on the couch facing the TV. I was laying on the couch facing the TV. My parents were on chairs behind me. And I remember just turning red, thinking, "Oh my God, this is an embarrassment," because they're going to see these drag queens and flouncy, glitter, boa-wearing girls in high heels and whatever. And I just remember thinking, that is so not me. And there was nothing that was appealing about that scene that made me, as a 20-year-old gay guy, say, I want to go to that. That looks like fun. No, it made me go and say, I want to go in the opposite direction, because that is total misrepresentation of who I am. And that's the thing, right? Is that it's grouped. It's just like you could go and say, all women should be fighting for women's rights, or have this opinion of abortion, or it's my body, my choice. And so, at the end of the day, it's individuals. If you want to speak up or you want to, but just because I'm a gay doesn't mean that I need to get on my soapbox and wave the pride flag and be a supporter of. We had this happen, by the way, when Bruce Jenner was sitting down with Diane Sawyer to talk about what's coming up in his life. And so, being an entertainment correspondent for radio stations, when I was hosting my Top 40 radio show, we had, because this was such a big bombshell, primetime show and whatever, we were going to be talking about it the next morning on the radio. And so one of the stations that I work, well, I still do entertainment hits for them, but I don't think that, the guy that host was long gone now at this point. But we had, we would have back and forth, right? So I would give them the talking points. They would set me up to tell a story or give the information, and then we'd have a back and forth. And so the guy, the one of the morning hosts had then went and asked what my thoughts are on Bruce Jenner becoming, being trans. And it kind of struck me odd because, one, I'm not trans, and two, why would I, of all people, have, what would my opinion matter on something like that? Generally, you would be asking somebody who's trans, right? You'd bring on a trans person to give their thoughts and their insight. I'm just reporting on the story. I'm not here to be giving my, opinions on that'd be just, oh, Ellen's a lesbian. What do you think about that? Good for her. I'm not a lesbian. I can relate to being attracted to the same sex, sure, but what that's going to do for, a woman's career, that's not up to me to say. I don't know. So asking me what my thoughts are on Bruce Jenner, I was just kind of like, okay. I didn't take it as homophobic. Let me be clear. I'm not one of those people who is like, well, you asked me that because I'm gay, or you're discriminating me because I'm gay and whatever. I went through this when I was publishing books back in the day, that this publication wanted to introduce me as a gay author. And I was like, first of all, there's nothing about the books that is gay, so I'm not quite sure why I have that distinction, why I have that title, why I have that that classification. And I'll say that for anything. Just like when we watch when you watch the Academy Awards or whatever it is, and they go and say, well, this is the first Native American winner, the first Hispanic, the first whatever, where do we draw the line on the first, right? This is the first left-handed. This is the first diabetic winner. This is the first red-headed winner. This is the first, whatever. We need to, in some instances, need to stop calling attention to those differentiating factors, right? I'm a best-selling author because I'm a good writer, not because I'm gay. I had 15 years of successfully hosting a syndicated radio show. It had nothing to do with me being gay. In fact, I don't know that I ever said the G word on the show ever. Now, with some exceptions of when we had Jane Lynch on talking about The Weakest Link, and I made a comment about us gays, so something like that. But never was I I was never waving the gay flag. I was never, because it's not a big distinction of who I am. I'm me. And I remember thinking about that before I came out, and people would say, like, how do I answer that if people say, are you gay? I say, I'm me. I'm me. So back to that news of the Pride Parade where I'm sitting there watching my parents, like, there were parts of me that he must wanted to turn around and go and say, that's not me. But the fear is you have your parents sitting there thinking, oh my God, those fucking fags are disgusting. That's what you're thinking in your head before you've come out. Right? You don't know how your dad's going to respond. You don't know how, I mean, my mom was a teacher for years, so I was kind of like, all right. Well, but at the same time, I never buy it when people go and say, like, oh, well, my parents didn't know that I was gay. You really? Come on now. My sister-in-law had a reaction when I came out to the family, and she was like, no, what? No way. I'm like, bitch, please. Like, seriously. And you've only been in the family she was only around for a few years at that point. She's still married to my brother, but, I just remember, like, I appreciate you acting shocked and making it, because that's supposed to make me feel better, right? Like, oh my God, we had no idea. Oh my God, people fucking know. All right. Like, don't give me this shit that, nobody knows. If it's your parents and they've been in your life for however old you are, 20, 30, 40 years, I mean, but that was my fear, was they're going to see these drag queens and these, flamboyant femme people, and that's just, it's not who I am. And so that's what turned me off from Pride at the very, very beginning. Now, the first time that I went to Pride was in Toronto. I was there visiting my friend Chris, and it just so happened, the timing was weird. I had a credit with an airline that I had to use, and it was running out. It was literally like coming to the final days. And so I didn't, I had nowhere else to go. It was 20, again, early 20s. I don't know how old I was. But I flew to Hamilton, which is where he lived, and then we ended up driving to Toronto for Pride. And so, yes, as a 20-something who, like I said, social media wasn't the thing back then. You'd go to gay bars, which was kind of your exposure to the community. That was it. And so it was kind of fun to be like, oh my God, I'm around all these gays. But I've never been interested in drugs, the hookup thing was never of interest to me. The partying, I'm there to I'll dance. I will have a couple drinks. But watching a drag show or whatever, it's of no interest to me. I don't get it. Now, fast forward a year or two when I started to work at a gay bar, where my repulsion of drag queens came about was I worked at the door. So I would do like coat check. It was a private members club. So it was one of those things where you had to buy membership. So I'd check, you'd have to sign in, and I would take your coat and so I worked the door. And the nights that we would have a drag show, the drag queens would come in, attitude to the nines already. Like the attitude cranked up to, and I've never understood why drag queen, as soon as you put on the big clown wig and makeup, you become a bitch. You become a fucking bitch with this attitude of this rude whatever. Like, are there drag, like maybe like friendly and no, they would come in wheeling their little suitcase thing, and basically like I was their assistant or whatever. It's just like, oh, here's my bag. Great, you actually work here as well, so you can come around the counter and put it in the staff area where you know that it goes. But I ain't yo bitch, so take your fucking bag, or I will put it somewhere where it probably doesn't fit now, but we can make it damn well fit. So that was my thing right from the very beginning of drag queens, was just you clown up the makeup and the big old hair and fake tits and this, like, you're this 500-pounder pretending to be Cher, I'm like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Am I missing something here? What is the talent here? I'm not quite getting it. That you're going to pace around a stage lip syncing and being handed dollar bills for God knows what reason. It never connected with me. It never landed, maybe is the word to say. It never landed with me, the drag queen thing. Because again, like what exactly is the talent? If you're coming up there and you're telling jokes and you're being a comedian, all right, fine. But you're really just, you're not actually singing. If you're actually singing, fine, that's one thing. But I don't understand, like, you're dressed like a clown and you're lip syncing to Cher. Now, if you were a Cher impersonator, that's one thing. But I don't get it. Because if you didn't have that costume, right? If you were just on stage doing that, just going back and forth lip syncing, would anybody consider that to be talent? No. But suddenly you put on a glittery dress and Peggy Bundy hair, and now we're amazed. Now it's standing ovations. Now it's, we bow down as we hand dollar bills. I never. The first time that I saw that, I was kind of like, oh, this is like it's a ritual kind of a thing. Is this what I've never... So if you've never been to a drag show, this is what happens is, the person, you approach the stage as they're performing. Now, I actually did see this. There was a complaint on Facebook where somebody was called out. A drag queen was called out for being unappreciative. And the drag queen responded saying, you know what? So if I didn't nod to you or do my appreciation as I took the money from you, it's because I'm in the zone. I'm performing. I'm in the zone. I didn't know whose side to take here. First of all, you're being petty. It's like, why are you handing this person dollar bills anyway? So that's one thing that I don't get. And then you're going to go and call them out and do this like passive aggressive kind of, whatever. And then the drag queen sees it. So then the drag queen chimes in. Is like, I was in performance mode. I didn't see you, but I'm appreciative and whatever. And now we've got these like two fucking queens battling it out. And I'm sitting here going, this is why people think the way they do about us being the gays. And this is why, going back to what I was just saying, my husband and I, we just do our thing. We're not flouncing it up at gay clubs. We're not, when we're walking our dog, I mean, I guess people would assume we're a couple if you're seeing us, holding hands walking down the street. But if you're seeing, like, if you saw us dining at a restaurant and he doesn't have his arm around me or we're holding hands or we're kissing or whatever it was, you would not know, are we coworkers? Are we cousins? Are we, like, you would not know. And that's what I've always said. When I was single, I'm like, if I can look at you and just go and say, gay, I'm just not attracted to that. It's not even about, like, that I've got... I'm a guy who likes guys. And this is where it sounds like, well, if I wanted to be with a woman, I'd be with a woman. I've heard this in the gay community for so long. And then I get shamed because I'm attracted... You can't control who you're attracted to. There's nothing about a queenie, flouncing, nail polish wearing, glitter, throwing guy that's attractive to me. A masculine man, muscular, active, whatever, that's just what I'm attracted to. Now, this happened years ago. I'm going to tell you about a story going out for dinner with somebody that the second I met him was just like, no. And does it make me superficial? I'll let you be the judge. I'll tell you about it on the Scribble right after this.
We'll be back after a quick break.
This is Joey Stuckey, host of Stuck on Sound, where we dive into the world of sound, exploring all of its facets from music to production to technology to business. Blind since an infant, I've lived my life with a strong commitment to human connection and a profound love for sound. For 30 years, I've owned and operated Shadow Sound Studio in Macon, Georgia as a producer and engineer. With each episode, you and I get to live vicariously through the amazing stories told by my fascinating guests. I invite you to join me at Stuck on Sound, wherever you get your podcasts, or visit us at www.stuckonsound.com.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
JB here on the Scribble. Old school gay, or older, not oldest school gay by any means, but certainly from the generation that was before this whole social media thing. I was, when guys acted like guys. Let's be honest. I'm putting it out there. I'll say it. I don't fucking care. And that's how you know that you're an old school gay, is when you can just say it and go, you know what? These 20-year-old queens, I don't even eat a burger. You look fucking anorexic. You look like you got an eating disorder. I want, put some meat on your bones. Years ago, I would go into gay.com, which was a chat room, which is really our only outlet to interact with gays on the digital side of things. Of course, you had your bars and things, as I mentioned, but certainly gay.com, where you'd have a profile. It wasn't a dating thing. It was a chat room. Anybody from that generation of AOL and whatever knows what I'm talking about. Most people used it as dating, but that wasn't the sole purpose of it. So, that's how I was meeting guys. And so I was in my early 20s. I was wanting to meet people my age just because we'd have more in common. We were both at the same point in our life. But even for me, I've always been a talker, but I've always hit it off better professionally, personally, with people who are older than me. So would I get together with somebody who was in their 30s or hang out, with somebody in their 40s? Sure, it would. No, it wasn't sexual for me. And this is where I think I misled people, was because perhaps they were using it as a hookup tool. For me, I'm a talker. I want people that are similar to me that I can talk to. And, that's I'll go from there. So I would go for dinners with guys. I would, especially if you live in your parents' basement and you're not necessarily out, or you are out, but you don't really have your own space, you go out as much as you can. So if the person had their own place, great, even better. But, you'd go to a restaurant, or you would, and so I just, so the guy picked me up at home. I never really considered it to be dates. I always just said that we're hanging out, because dating, the word date put an expectation on it, as though, is this or isn't it? Is he, isn't he? And I never liked that pressure. I didn't want to be sized up the entire time that I'm sitting and having a conversation with you. Let me decompress when I get home, and then I will decide, okay. But I do remember this one. So we go, and he picks me up, and we go to a restaurant that's probably about 20 minute, well, maybe about 10, 15 minute drive from my parents' house where I was living. So we had kind of just the basic conversation. And so we park in the parking lot of the restaurant, and he goes and he reaches into the back of the car, and he says, "Just have to get my man purse." And folks, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, it was done in that moment. It just was. It was just done. Because, like I said, this now ends up putting sort of a femininity to it. It just, to me it said woman. To me it said queen. It said femme. Everything that I'm not attracted to. So the conversation might have been great, but I remember this vividly. So I just remember thinking like, ugh. I just felt deflated in that moment. Not defeated, deflated. Like I was kind of like, oh my God, I'm going to slouch in the seat now. I wanted to make that dinner as quick as possible because in my head, and so being I was an aspiring journalist at the time. I was I wasn't working. I was probably still in school for journalism. I started to ask questions in a roundabout way to figure out how feminine this guy was. And I was just so turned off by it. There was just nothing that was appealing to me. There really wasn't. I just remember thinking, as soon as you use that term man purse, I was kind of like, ugh. And we maybe had a couple conversations after that. But at that point in my life, I was one of those people where it's all or nothing, that we're doing this and we're getting to know each other and it's going to be a relationship, or it's not. It's not friendship. It's nothing. I couldn't make that distinction. Later on in life, I was able to figure it out. Go, hey, you know what? Then if we're great friends, then fine. There was another guy who we ended up becoming friends for a while. I later found out that he was interested in me, and I either I was missing the signals or whatever. But he would refer to gay guys as she or her. So we'd be sitting there and we'd be talking, we'd go for dinner or I'd go to his place or whatever it was, and he'd be gossiping about people that I didn't necessarily know. Some of them were his friends, but I didn't know them, but I would know their names. He would reference their username on gay.com, so like their chat room name. And so let's say it was, I don't know, John123, okay? So he would, oh, John123. Well, oh, that one, or she's this and that. Oh, I know her. And there was just something that was just so like blech about that. I'll do that now as a joke. Like I'll go, girl, go, don't play me. But I'll say that to a woman. I'll say it to like let me be honest with you. By the way, let me just make this disclaimer or bombshell revelation. My husband and I don't really have gay friends. We're friends. We're very good friends with straight men. Again, he's a gym guy, so he's got the Brazilian mafia that he works out with, the bodybuilders or whatever. I've got a lot of straight guy friends and straight female friends, and we gays and lesbians in our life there really aren't any, really. And I don't know if that's just by design or but we just are so far from the scene. I'm putting that in quotes. You can't see me, but the scene. And I'm going to talk about the scene when we come back on the Scribble.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here on The Scribble. You know, I've heard the term, the gay community, the gay scene for many, many years, and I've always distanced myself from it. Even though I worked at a gay bar, I wasn't part of the scene or the community. I wasn't involved in it, I guess I should say. That was a job. Working at the bar was a job. I wasn't, going and now volunteering into whatever. I wasn't part of this scene. I happened to work at a place, and that was it. Fast forward to today's gay scene, gay community. We and I'm not making light of suicide. Let me put that or death. That's not what I'm doing here. But there are a lot of overdoses. There are lots of suicides. There are a lot of diseases, and there's a lot of things, and it's a tragedy, and it's a terrible thing. So again, don't come for me. I'm not. But I feel like the gay community is caught up in all of those things that I just said. Diseases, drugs, whatever. First of all, I've never done an illegal drug in my life ever. I've never even physically touched a cigarette, let alone marijuana or anything like that. So when I see the reputation that the gay community has within the gay community, I take issue with that. I don't take offense because, like I said, I'm not easily offended. Doing what I've done for as many years as I have, I can't be offended. When I can dish it out, then I should be able to take it. But I take issue with, drugs and overdoses is a big problem in our community. Well, that's not a gay thing. Sorry, it's not. It's not a gay thing. It's a straight, old, young, white, black, whatever. It's a human thing. It's not a gay thing. And then the fact that there's a pill now. I don't even know exactly what it does, but I guess it's like an HIV prevention pill or something. It's almost like common knowledge. It's almost like you disclose that you're on this medication to the world now. And I'm just kind of like, oh, I had never heard of it. I didn't know what it was. I'm sitting there going, whatever. Well, I've been married for 9 years. So if this is something relatively new, but it's called PrEP is what they just told me. But if I were to say the word PrEP to a gay guy, apparently like 90% of them, 95% would know what I'm talking about. I had never heard this before. So if somebody came to me and said, are you on PrEP? I would hear that as, Does it have something to do with the radio shows or the podcast or the news, like our media company? Like, what does that mean, PrEP? No, it's so again, just to have the reputation of like, it sleeps around and it's AIDS and HIV and syphilis and herpes and whatever. Again, I don't know that's a reputation that you want to have. So I saw a couple of days ago that, somebody had overdosed, and you see the comments, which are half and half. Well, I would say about 80%, rest in peace, you're blah, 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 you're in a better place, and whatever. And then you do see the people who do squeak through with their comments of just going and saying, like, well, it was an overdose, so, you kind of get what's coming to you. And then you do have the people that go and say, well, that's prevalent in our community and whatever. And it's an individual's choice. It's an individual. I like I said, so if all of a sudden, because I'm gay, I sleep around, I do drugs, I am, prone to suicide, whatever, I'm just kind of like, that has never been the case. None of those three. I've never had a disease, I've never done a drug, and I've never been suicidal. So, maybe, am I an anomaly? I don't know. You can go and say, well, Jeremy, you're a white guy, so you have don't give me that bullshit either. Don't give me that bullshit. I'm a guy who just happens to be attracted and married to a man. If you walked by our house, there's no rainbow flags outside. There's no like torso sculptures. There's no whatever. You would never know that two gay men are living here. But at the same time, it's like we're not drawing attention to ourselves. So, and something that I said back in the day, and I've got to wrap this up because we're out of time. But I say I'm proud of myself every day. I don't need a parade. I have no interest in participating in a parade. I don't need to flame it up 10 times over because it's a certain month. I'm not playing that part. I'm not playing that part. Did I have a good time at the Toronto Pride when I was there with my friend Chris? To a point. It was fun to kind of like, walk around with an open shirt because I've always had sort of a slim, I've always joked that I've got the body of a 12-year-old girl. So, I was the cute blonde and it was kind of nice. And, you see some attractive people and, you touch their muscular bodies and whatever it was. And sure, fine. Did I have sex with anybody there? No. Did I make out with any? No. That's just not, did I come back with a disease? No. Did I do any drugs? No. Was it happening around me? Here's the thing. Was it happening around me? It probably was. Did I notice it? Did I witness it? Have I ever been face to face with it and go and said, oh my God, somebody's doing drugs here? No, never. I've never been in that situation. When I worked at the gay bar, apparently people were doing drugs and stuff in the bathroom. I never saw it, never witnessed it, wasn't looking for it, didn't even know. I was so naive. I was just so in the moment of like, hey, I'm having fun at the bar, I'm dancing and whatever. That was always my MO. That was always. So we're going to wrap this up. I want to know your thoughts. So tell me if you're, and it's not even a matter of the gay community. Now it's LGBTQ plus IAQ. Ugh, that's also, and again, because you're gay, you're automatically put into that box of, oh, well, you're part of the, what do they call it? Rainbow Mafia or Alphabet Mafia. You're part of the whatever. No, I'm not. Just as that, I mentioned that story about Bruce Jenner. I'm not a T. I'm not a B. I'm not an L. I'm just me. Me. Can I relate to Bruce Jenner? No. Do I want to? No. Do I have anything in common with Bruce? No. Now, if he comes out as gay, all right, fine. But I haven't had surgeries. I haven't taken medication to grow breasts. I haven't done this. I haven't done that. I haven't chopped off my dick. I haven't worn dresses in public. I haven't done any of that shit. So, do I have anything in common with him? No. Ask a trans person what they think. And by all means, if you enjoy doing it, if that's who you are, if that's your quote-unquote truth, if that's your best life, if that, whatever these stupid mantras that we have now, go for it. Go for it. If you want to have fun at Pride, if you want to go and do drugs, if you want to go and do drugs at a Pride party and overdose with a drag queen and die with a needle in your arm, go for it. That is totally up to you. It's just not for me. And I'm allowed to not be into it. You hear me? You hear me. So just to wrap this up, and then when I wrote this newspaper column years ago, it was called I'm Not One of Them, or Happy Pride, but I'm Not One of Them, or We're All Not Them, or We're All... I got heat from the gay community. I'm just like, do what you want. If you want to wear a dress, if you want to wear clown makeup, if you want to do this, if you want to do that, if you want to promote that you're on some medication so you don't get AIDS or HIV or herpes or whatever the fuck it is, go for it. I have no interest in broadcasting my relationship status, my sexual disease status, my whatever. It is just not me. So if that makes me an outcast in the gay community, good fucking riddance to you, my friend. Good fucking riddance. And on that note, happy Pride. Send me your thoughts about Pride. Is it overdone? I'm not going to write back to you and say that you're homophobic. I truly won't. But send me an email. live@JB. Maybe I'm a fucking homophobe at this point. Call me a homophobe then. Bring it. I don't care. I don't care. At the end of the day, I've got my hot fucking husband who does the things that he needs to, and that's it. And that's as far as I'm going to go by telling the story. Am I going to suck a dick later? Maybe, but that's my prerogative, okay? What a way to end on that note. Hey, geez, all right. But the email address, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Oh, fired up. Talk to you again next time, everybody. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real